1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. This is the WRDN Morning Farm Report. I'm Brian Winnekins. Joining us this morning, Amy Wagner. She is with Dairy Management Incorporated, and we're going to talk about some of the things going on with DMI internationally this morning. And thank you to our newsmaker sponsors, including Wisconsin Farmers Union, A&J Agronomy, Synergy Co-op, Osteoplastics, Annabis Silo, the Animal Wellness Center of Buffalo Valley, and Compeer Financial. Well, Amy, happy June Dairy Month. And with June Dairy Month, there's been a pretty big partnership strategy internationally with DMI. Tell us about that.
That's right. Sure. I'm happy to. First of all, thanks for having me today. I'm happy to talk to you. As far as our partnership strategy goes, DMI started working with food service companies over a decade ago in the United States, really with the goal of growing dairy sales. And so we partnered with companies like McDonald's and Taco Bell and Pizza Hut and Dominos in the US. And in about 2017, we actually decided to take that strategy abroad. Basically, exports are so important to dairy farmers, Brian. I'm sure you know that about 1 out of every 6 tankers goes abroad. So it's really important that we build our export business. And so we said, look, we've got a successful domestic strategy where we work with partners. So let's try to do that abroad. So beginning in 2017, we started working with the Yum company, which basically owns Pizza Hut and KFC abroad. And so we began the partnership there, and more recently we've begun working with Dominos in Japan, and most recently in the Middle East.
Let's talk a little bit about that Middle East partnership. I know in years past when I talked with now, once again, Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack, he was part of the U.S. Dairy Export Council, who's the CEO. He said the Middle East was one of the biggest opportunities really for dairy, which I found surprising.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the Middle East is people do love cheese there. They really do. They love cheese. They love dairy. And they love Western cuisine. And so they love pizza. And the way we look at the Middle East is it's a good export region for the U.S. And it's also one where there's tremendous growth opportunity, because while folks there like cheese per capita consumption there is about in Saudi in particular is about 13 pounds a year, compared to in the United States, we eat about 37 pounds of cheese a year. So there's tons of growth upside. And the same thing with pizza. They love pizza. You'll find Domino's and Pizza Hut if you travel there, but they don't eat it quite as frequently as Americans do. And so we see a tremendous opportunity to work directly with companies who promote pizza, to drive pizza, and most importantly, to increase U.S. cheese used on that pizza. So that's really the prize for us, making sure that not only people eat more pizza there, but when they're eating pizza, it's U.S. mozzarella, string cheese, and honestly, other varietals there as well.
I'm gonna ask the question for Wisconsin cheesemakers here. Is Wisconsin cheese popular in the Mideast?
I'm sorry?
Is Wisconsin cheese popular in the Mideast?
Yeah, in the Middle East, mostly, I would say more what we would consider milder flavored cheeses are more popular. So mozzarella is very popular. String cheese on pizza is popular. They also have their own varietals there that they make, but increasingly, flavors like American cheese are becoming popular too, especially as we think about people eat them so much on hamburgers, which is another Western cuisine that's really growing in the Middle East.
Now, as part of this, you are actually working with Dominos and to expand into North Africa and Pakistan.
So we are partnering with a company called Alamar, who is the master franchisee for Domino's. In other words, they oversee all the franchisees in this region, and the region that they oversee is vast. It's the Middle East, North Africa, and Pakistan. So they've got a number of markets. We're starting the partnership, like we do with most partnerships, we try to start it slowly. We want to build a relationship. We want to ensure that there's going to be a good supply of U.S. cheese through this partnership. So we've mutually decided to start in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, those two countries. And combined, there's about 300 Domino's stores in that geography.
Wow. Talking with Amy Wagner with Dairy Management Incorporated this morning, talking about some of the international projects that DMI is working on. Let's switch over to the Asian market. And again,
Sure.
in years past, when I've talked with Agriculture Secretary Vilsack, when he was with the Dairy Export Council, he said Asia was a rapid market.
Yeah. Asia is amazing. I mean, first of all, one of the things I hope your listeners take away from this is that while the U.S. is still the largest economy in the world, 96% of people in the world live outside the United States. So we simply have to get into other markets to sell dairy products. And Asia is actually massive populations. And again, you think about a country like Japan, probably most Americans don't, when they think about cheese, they don't think about Japan immediately. But what you should know is Japan is consistently our top, 2 or 3 or 4 export destination for cheese. And they are the world's 3rd largest economy. So it is a wealthy country. It is a developed country. They like their cheese there. They like pizza there. But again, still tremendous growth opportunity. So we know that in the United States, pizza accounts for about 14%. If you think of all the quick serve restaurants, so the burger chains, the Mexican joints, all the restaurants, if you put all that together, pizza is about 14% of that in the United States. In Japan, if you look at those same numbers, it's about 1%. So that really kind of speaks to the opportunity there. It's very interesting. The Japanese view pizza as, you're going to love this, a specialty food for special occasions. So they don't think about it the way Americans do when you need, dinner in a pinch. So we just see tremendous upside, and yet they love it. I mean, one great example of how much they love it is a product that they created called the New Yorker 1 kilogram pizza. Okay, so again, most of us Americans are not as good with the metric system, but for those who don't know this right off the top of their head, a kilogram is about 2.2 pounds of cheese.
Wow.
That is about 3 times as much cheese as on their normal large cheese pizza. But they launched this there, and through our partnership with Domino's Japan, we have helped to provide marketing support to them so that they can communicate this offering and make sure everybody knows about it. And when they came, our partners routinely report back to our board of directors, our DMI board, and they came to visit about a year ago, right before COVID, and they sampled the pizza for our board. And you can only imagine, our board members love that pizza. That pizza is just dough and cheese. That's it. So it's dough and it's 2.2 pounds of cheese. But I think what surprised some of our board members is they serve it in Japan with your choice of a packet of maple syrup or dried seaweed, whichever you would prefer. I tell you that anecdote really just to illustrate that, the Japanese really, again, most Americans probably don't think about this. They think of noodles and fish and such, and they love those foods too, obviously, but pizza is growing in importance to them. And so what we want to do with the partnership is work with Domino's, drive more consumer demand. And by the way, Domino's in Japan uses 100% US sourced mozzarella and string cheese. So what grows their pizza grows US cheese as well. So very, very happy about that partnership, and tons of upside in Asia. When you think about, China, 1.4 billion people live in that country. So just really vast opportunity.
Talking with Ann Wagner this morning with DMI. No, I will not have seaweed. Not care how much Wisconsin cheese. There will not be seaweed on my pizza. Now, one of the other things they like to put on their pizza, which I actually think I would like to try this. I'm going to have to talk to Herb over at Alex's right across the street here. Crab and shrimp on the pizza.
Yeah, that's been one of the interesting things, again, to learn about new cultures and about different palates. The Japanese, are large consumers of seafood, and that extends to even their consumption of pizza. So you will see very exotic toppings versus what you see in the United States. They also really love a format called the Quattro, which is, we think of a half and half pizza. They have actually pizzas divided into 4 different sections, each with different toppings. They could have a beef tenderloin on that, or a crab, or an octopus, or something. But they really, because they don't have pizzas frequently, they're typically have, when they're entertained, have a group over, they want to ensure that there's a variety of different taste options. So
that makes sense. Again, I'll pass on the octopus. Thank you very much.
Right.
Meanwhile, Amy, a lot of work's being done with cheese. Is there other work being done for other dairy products like whey and dry milk powder? And there's, like, here in Durand, there's Marin Foods. They do a chocolate and whole milk dry milk powder product that they sell nationally, but could be sold internationally. So does DMI work on those types of other value-added products? I know fluid milk would be very difficult, but some of these other value-added products?
Sure, absolutely. And I think the best way to answer that question too is, you've referenced a couple of times USDAC. And again, just for your listeners to kind of clarify, USDAC is our sister organization. It is primarily funded through checkoff dollars, but also funded through US, Department of Agricultural dollars, as well as member dues. So, but we really work hand in glove with the folks at USDAC. USDAC really does the foundational work. They do a lot of work on market access. They point us towards the markets we should be in. So when we were contemplating a partnership with Domino's, they directed us to which markets made the most sense. And Japan was a top of the list, followed by UAE and Saudi, just based on regulatory concerns and appetites for cheese, et cetera. And they do so much foundational work. They also do a lot of work creating demand. And one of your questions specifically, you were asking about whey powders and other ingredients. They also do a lot of educational programs, working with potential buyers in those markets to help them understand the uses for U.S. dairy ingredients. So their work, I would consider their work to be absolutely foundational and very, very broad reaching. So covers ingredients, covers cheese, covers even, programs around milk, increasingly aseptic and, extended shelf life milk, et cetera. So they do programming kind of across the board. Where we work on DMI are really on these direct partnerships that we have sort of built that model through our domestic partnerships. So the bulk of our food service partners today, really with KFC and Domino's and Pizza Hut, have primarily been focused on cheese. But we do see a future. We're exploring some other dessert options, which could lead you to ice cream and other things like that we do want to work on with partners. We also collaborate with dairy co-op partnerships. And in those cases, there are some instances we are working on value-added ingredients. So how do we make sure that those dairy powders are going into things that are very value-added, so they can command a premium value-added price, things, to your point, that go into food ingredients, that go into pharma and other destinations. But really, we work very closely in tandem with USDAC as well.
That is Amy Wagner. She is with Dairy Management Incorporated, and you're listening to the WRDN Morning